This man found a hole in his yard, but he turned pale when he saw what was in it. Harold's yard was immaculate when he returned home late from work, admiring the freshly mowed grass. But the following morning shattered that serenity. As he stepped outside, he was met by a shocking sight. The once perfect stretch of greenery had been swallowed by a massive sinkhole. The gaping chasm both intrigued and terrified him, and what he discovered within made his complexion drain of color. It began on a Sunday. Harold had planned to take his 14-year-old son to soccer practice. They packed their gear, and with his son suited up in his uniform, the only task remaining was the drive. However, it never came to that. As Harold reached for his car keys in the hallway, a thunderous sound resonated from the front yard. Rushing out, his son in tow, he was met with confusion. "Dad, what's that noise?" his son queried. Harold did not reply, instead gesturing for him to be silent as he traced the source. Each step seemed to amplify the ominous sound until Harold found himself staring in horror. Cracks were splintering across his lawn, earth splitting as the ground began to sink. Just in time, Harold leapt back as the lawn caved into a vast sinkhole within moments. Harold stood on the driveway in shock, while his son circled the new chasm with youthful curiosity. "Stay back from there," Harold ordered, pulling his son to safety. "We don't know how much further this will collapse," he warned, with fear still gripping his mind. They paused, taking in the startling development, before Harold suggested his son catch a ride with a friend. Soccer seemed trivial in light of recent events. Understanding the gravity, his son captured photos of the scene to send to his coach. The noise, which birthed the sinkhole, had grown into a community spectacle, drawing neighbors like moths to a flame. His wife and nearby residents cautiously approached, heeding his warning of caution. They all wanted an explanation. "What is this, Harold?" they questioned. But Harold could offer only uncertainty. Driven by curiosity and a desire to understand, he ignored his wife's worried pleas and descended into the darkness of the sinkhole himself. The crowd edged closer, mindful of further collapses. Their anxiety pulsed in whispers as Harold remained below for what felt like an eternity. Eventually, his voice echoed up to them. "The sinkhole is larger than it seems. It stretches far." His words kept them on tenterhooks, daring not to join him, yet captivated by the unfolding mystery. The murmurs grew as more people from the quiet enclave gathered, until Harold's re-emergence punctured their anticipation. What should have been a triumphant return felt eerie. Harold appeared ghostly pale, moving with an urgency that extinguished their excitement. "Get away from this thing," he urged them, a tremor in his voice as a subdued panic rippled through the crowd. Curious minds demanded details. "What did you find, Harold?" an elderly lady sought to know. Harold mentioned needing expert intervention rather than wasting time explaining the inexplicable. Clutching his phone, he made urgent calls to the authorities. "This is Harold Fegan. I need to report an emergency at 1032 Blake Springs." He emphasized urgency only to be met with dismissive responses due to the day of the week, a Sunday. As Harold's pleas echoed unanswered, tensions escalated. The ground shuddered, new cracks forked down the street, and destruction loomed closer. Yet, despite visible mayhem, the promised help wouldn't arrive until the following day. Finally, driven by necessity and urgency, Harold rallied those around him. "It's up to us now. We need to fix this together," he declared, standing defiantly atop a tree stump, his voice carrying the weight of necessity. Moved by his determination, two volunteers stepped forward. Marcus, a young man full of energy, and Lawrence, a seasoned resident. The trio ventured back into the sinkhole with caution, following the trail of devastation guided by a peculiar pungent smell Harold recognized. It was nitroglycerin, a scent indicating dynamite, a hint that hinted at something far deeper and darker concealed beneath their once peaceful neighborhood. Returning above ground swiftly with a fragment of red detonating paper, Harold explained, "This smells like rotten bananas, which means it's dynamite residue." Understanding dawned over the crowd, now aware their trouble was man-made. With urgency in their steps, Harold and his crew followed the aromatic trail through their town, amidst the bewildered faces of their neighbors. Their investigation led them to an aged cave. It was an old gold mine, reinvigorated illegally for greed. Its exploitation left their town in peril. Within the cave, evidence of a clandestine operation unfolded. Dynamite stacks, makeshift camps, and a group of men deep in illegal labor. Harold caught each deed on his phone, capturing proof of the mine's reckless destruction. Finally alerting the police with undeniable evidence, they intervened promptly. The operation was vast, a national scandal uncovered. Once the culprits were brought to justice, the authorities acknowledged Harold's perseverance, honoring him with a directive to lead the reconstruction efforts. With newly discovered gold now funding repairs, Harold applied his construction expertise to rejuvenate their town, making it safer than ever. The community pulled together under his leadership, witnessing not just just the restoration of their environment, but of their spirit as well. When the work was complete, a celebration ensued. Harold spoke to the gathered crowd, his heart full. "This triumph is ours, not mine alone," he said warmly. "Today, we celebrate not just our successes, but the unity that has deepened among us." Amidst newfound admiration and gratitude, Harold stood proud, knowing he had not only salvaged his town's physical foundation, but had strengthened the community bonds that would withstand any adversity life might throw their way in the future.